The Galaxy-class Starship is one of the most advanced vessels of its time, which may or may not be considered admirable depending on whether you consider it a testament to Starfleet or a pox on their families. All comes down to how you view the vessel. However, regardless of what opinion you hold, the design would gain inter-quadrant recognition as one of the most powerful vessels fielded. When the Dominion War heated up, mass production of the class began, and ultimately the Galaxy became a staple of most all fleets for the 24th century. After escalation and all-out war occurred in the 25th century, the Starfleet Corps of Engineers began to experiment with the modular ship design. Lending to the ship's ability to be modified in almost an infinite number of ways, the vessel's layout would be converted into one of war, which allowed for a ton of variants to be introduced. This would include, but probably isn't limited to, the Galaxy Exploration Cruiser, the Galaxy Exploration Cruiser Refit, the Andromeda Exploration Cruiser, the Venture Exploration Cruiser Refit, the Fleet Exploration Cruiser, the Galaxy Dreadnought Cruiser, the Yamamoto Dreadnought Cruiser, and the Fleet Galaxy Dreadnought Cruiser. Whew. All of these variants would share the same basic chassis to one extent or another, have varying bridge consoles, and most importantly, have key subsystems that would differ wildly. As an example, the Andromeda Exploration Cruiser has a molecular cohesion nullifier field, while the Venture Exploration Cruiser Refit has an antimatter spread. However, given that I'm not as rich as Cryptic wishes I was, and ultimately we're looking at the same basic premise regardless of variant, for the purposes of this breakdown, I'll be focusing on the Galaxy-class Exploration Cruiser Retrofit. I will also be doing the Dreadnought variant in a separate video, but it's unlikely the others will be addressed. Again, I'd really be repeating everything that was said in a previous video except for one key difference, so while it's good for views, I don't currently feel that that adds any value for you guys. As discussed, the vessel is so renowned that it gets a top-to-bottom rework by the Starfleet Corps of Engineers. It's also ironic that a ship that explodes if it's hit by a paperclip with shields down would become an absolute beast after upgrades and redesign in the 25th century. While still an older model, the updated Galaxy-class variants are able to hold up to even the toughest battles, being formidable to all clear and present dangers. The Galaxy Exploration Cruiser Retrofit, man, fuck you long names, would have 5 specialty consoles, including 1 tactical, 1 science, and 3 engineering. It would have 4 weapons fore and 4 weapons aft. Though it does feel like the vessel honestly has more weapons than God, as it's rare you won't be firing a weapon on an enemy. Additionally, the ship has enough room for up to 4 experimental technologies that can be installed by Starfleet engineers and scientists. Unlike in the 24th century, Starfleet admirals ultimately lost their fetish for killing civilians and designed the vessel for only combat, using all the systems for defending the Federation. So many civilians dead. So much carnage. Finally got that out of my system. Feels good. Feels good. Probably should redesign all of the ships so they can be in combat and exploration. But at least I got to see all of that pain. Probably shouldn't have admitted that. Jose, what are you doing here? It's Ramirez, sir, and I have no idea. I walked in here to discuss the holodeck, and you began admitting that you enjoy killing civilians as some kind of fetish or kink. I'm as confused as you are. The Galaxy Exploration Cruiser Retrofit would curiously be one of the only designs that still has saucer separation. This would allow the vessel to utilize tactics and outmaneuver other enemies. Additionally, advanced technologies would allow the ship to do saucer separation and reintegration during combat, effectively not being a big deal anymore. Unfortunately, the glut of society and loss of so many Starfleet officers meant that the saucer would be given completely over to an AI when separated, which is always a good idea for Starfleet to trust AI in Trek. It would also be called a quote-unquote pet. They would even program the saucer to follow the star drive like a lost puppy. I guess this means that everyone on the saucer would get to go and have a coffee break when it's separated. I guess they don't have to do anything. Weird flex, but okay, Starfleet. Because we know that the Galaxy class was always known for its armor and that it never had an issue once the shields dropped, naturally, the vessel would have subsystems that promoted this point, including absorptive hull plating, which worked almost like a blade of armor, rapid repairs, which could harden the hull, making it harder to destroy, enhanced hull plating, which made it even more like a blade of armor, and armored hull, which made it me. So you have 4 subsystems that make the hull stronger. Great. Just say that. Just have one subsystem that does all that. How about we go that way? Can we go that way? Some of the variants of the Galaxy class, including the Exploration Retrofit, would have the ability to work as command and control. This would mean that variants that operated in this way would be able to increase their own systems as well as help their allies. This included weapon system efficiency, shield frequency modulation, and strategic maneuvering. The ship could also lower its own electronic countermeasures and make itself a more tempting target for enemy vessels to attack. Ultimately, the Galaxy class has about 600 different variants, with 8 of them having actual impactful change. It's a tough ship that makes sense in the 25th century and, with the upgrades, is logical to have in Starfleet's various flotillas. But all of these are my opinions. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.